Hello and welcome to this episode of Impact Marketer. My name is Stephen Laddick and I'm the Director of Growth at Klout Consulting. In this episode, it's going to be a great one where we talk about how you move from organic to paid ads and what that does for your business. We're going to be talking about a company called Rich and Clear. And Rich and Clear is a company that came into Klout literally with, a huge organic following, a successful business, an established business. And Ronnie and Kevin and I talk about why moving to or complementing that with a paid ad strategy just really is a huge game changer. So we go through things like why paid ads, why use them? We talk about how we got started with Rich and Clear and what the business looked like before they came into Klout. We also talk about whether or not email is dead and whether, you should be using an email strategy, what email addresses are great for and what kind of data they can provide, not only to email campaigns and automations and stuff, but also to the ad campaigns or the paid ad strategy that you use as well. We talk a bit about Google versus Facebook ecosystems and why you need to be represented on both of those ecosystems at the same time, and why it's a great strategy for your brand overall. We also then go into pieces about, what we learned while working with Rich and Clear. What were the critical things that we needed to do as a company in order to, make their paid ad strategy work, how we moved from paid ads to complement that with email and where we're going to go next with them. And then finally, at the end, we talk about, what kind of results we've actually gotten for Rich and Clear over these first 3 months that we've worked with them. And, I'm going to keep that as a kind of a spoiler. So before we get started, here, check out a quick word from our sponsor.
Klout Consulting is the gold standard for e-commerce paid advertising. We help our clients scale and generate massive return through paid advertising platforms like Facebook and Instagram. For more information, visit kloutconsulting.com.
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to Impact Marketer. How are you today? Mr. Ronnie, Mr. Kevin.
I am doing good.
Thanks for having me.
I love it. I love that we're not in the same room, so nobody knows who's supposed to talk first. That's always my favorite thing. We are, recording this at the bottom of February in 2021, and it is still crazy times in the world. But we're here to talk about one of our clients called Rich and Clear, a gentleman named Earnest runs this company. Kevin, why don't you give us a little introduction into what Rich and Clear does? And, what we're doing for them right now.
Cool. Rich and Clear is a Black-owned business for skincare. They are primarily known for cheap, affordable skincare that actually works. Surprisingly, right?
If I recall correctly, when we brought them on board, I'm lucky enough to be the guy who did that. Not only they're down in Georgia, first of all, but
Florida. I think Florida.
Is it Florida?
Florida.
Yeah. Well, I screwed that one up. Sorry. They had never run ads before. Earnest had never run ads before, right? But he had built up a following of like 400,000 Instagram followers. Like this is literally a truly organic business, right? It's organic products, but then it's also, built out this organic business, and he was doing really well. And what, he wanted to have a paid ad strategy that was going to accelerate him from his current level up to the moon, right? So was that the state of play? Do I have that correct?
Yes. Earnest is a master marketer in his own right. For a guy to be able to build up such a following, such a huge business by himself through influencer marketing or more organic social media, he did great for himself. And it's kind of funny because when he came to us, he did absolutely no marketing. So that was a true testament of how well he did it independently by himself.
And this is, it's one of the things that we like to tell prospective clients as well. Like this is, we like to bring clients on board that we know are going to be successful. We're very picky about who we work with. And so Earnest is just one of those great testaments to someone who just naturally gets it. He naturally knows how to not only pick a product and build a business around that, but now, he knows how to grow it. But then, to now move it into a paid ad strategy that accelerates that and scales that, that's where we come in. So what was the first step when we looked at what he had? Did we do anything differently? Did we just take what he had and we ran with it? What did we tweak? What did we change? And where did we go?
Okay, cool. So Ernest, well, I kind of lied saying he never has done paid marketing. He has done paid marketing, but it's mostly for engagements, right? To build up his Facebook likes, his IG following. But what he had was Shopify data, and that's really important because he had thousands, hundreds of thousands of orders, and those orders include emails, and that is money by itself. Once we launch our essential campaigns into his account and launching email lookalike campaign, we were off to the races basically. And it didn't take too long for us to scale up his account because he was already established.
Ronnie, for those who are listening to this podcast right now, there's just been so many times when, last year, last 5 years, where people said email's dead. It's not a thing. Chat's the future and this and that. Why did Kevin just say, hey, look, emails are super awesome and, we love using those?
It's funny that you bring up that email is dead because Rich and Clear's email was also dead, but we can talk about that later.
We resurrected the email. Anyway.
Yeah. And so, when it comes to paid advertising or online marketing, data is king, and emails are probably one of the most lucrative and valuable data sources in existence. And so, yeah, we're able to use that to create lookalikes and high value lookalikes of similar people on Facebook, and as well as create different email marketing segments as well. So emails print money is the short version of that.
Yeah, I love telling people. Kevin, you can chime in as well. I love telling people that it's still solid gold. I mean, if you have an email list, if you're not building an email list, you should start doing that immediately, because even 100 people, those are people who've opted in, who know your products, and who you can talk to, right? You have an open conversation with them, and it just gets better and better as you grow it. Kevin, what you look like you wanted to add something there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We always recommend to build an email list because an email list makes you ready for Q4, Black Friday and all that. And that's probably the most important time of the year for any e-commerce business. Once you have a built up email list, Q4 should be easy peasy for you because that's all you're doing is remarketing to that email list.
What was the state of business, Kevin, when Earnest first came on board, when Rich and Clear first came on board? Because we didn't have, Facebook data. We didn't have Google data, but maybe we had Shopify data. So what was the state of play? Was it do you remember what his monthly recurring was, those kinds of things?
Yeah, Earnest was averaging 100K in Shopify alone per month. When we came in, we started pretty slow. We were spending $62 a day, and we did that for a whole month straight. And Ernest came up to us, was like, "Hey, what's going on?" He wanted results faster than how we were able to do it. But as time went on, we scaled up the account, and now it's spending average like $2,000 a day, and his goal was actually to make 200K in Shopify per month. Last month we were able to hit 160. Today, February 25th, we're at 165K.
Awesome. We're getting close. And February is that short month, man. We
Exactly.
could have gotten there. We could have gotten there. So, usually at this point in the conversation, I'm asking about what were the key problems? Like where are the hiccups that we found with Rich and Clear along the way? What are the things that needed changing? Where was there friction in the sales process or the buying process? Was it a slow uptick just because he didn't have data in Facebook? What were the hiccups?
Well, one hiccup that I think is most common for us, for Ronnie, you, Steven especially, was that his ad account was suspended. And that's probably the most common problem we face. Not only was his ad account suspended, his whole entire business manager was suspended. So we couldn't really get things going for like a week. So we had to reach out to Facebook, make sure that we can get the account reactivated. So that was the hard part. Also, his Facebook page was also suspended. So it was a mix of problems right before we got started.
So he was truly like literally driving everything through Instagram full stop. Like that was the only thing that was working.
Exactly.
Ronnie, hey, when you look at this, one of the things that basically I just wanted to hear your take on it is Google versus Facebook, right? When we bring clients on, we're bringing them on, and we're not only bringing them into the Facebook Manager and running across the Facebook Instagram ecosystem, but we're also playing in Google. Not only for, actually, I don't want to steal your thunder. Tell me why it is that we're playing in both ecosystems, and why is it important to have that, and what does it serve the client?
Yeah, I mean, the main reason is for brand legitimacy, right? Because especially with these direct to consumer brands that no one has heard of, which we're doing a lot of prospecting and getting new customers through the door, a consumer is going to go look you up on Google and other channels because they're smart. So one part is they're smarter, so they're going to look you up on other channels, and then the other part is that they have less attention span. And so this is the other benefit of doing multi-channel, because I don't know, if I see an ad on Facebook, I'm probably going to spend the rest of my day on Instagram. It's just how the brain works. And so being able to hit them on those channels is super powerful. Yeah, that's kind of what I would say.
Awesome. So, Kevin, take me through the approach of bringing a business that is shut down essentially on the manager. They don't have a Facebook page. Their website needs a couple of tweaks, but they're killing it on Instagram. And then, tell me about the process of what do we do to bring them on board? And then how are we now sort of cooking with gas in terms of, running that entire ad ecosystem in the background?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because I just remember when we were launching his campaigns initially, we weren't really off to a great start, just because he made all of his sales through Instagram, and what Facebook was doing was that they were allocating the spend towards the Facebook placement and not Instagram as much. So that's why his ROAS was down. So what I did completely was I just paused Instagram. Oh, no, sorry. I paused Facebook ad placements and then just ran campaigns through Instagram only. And that's when we saw a jump in performance. So this really just shows to me that you have to work on your strengths first. Then once your strength is there, once you see your performance going, then you can work on your weakness, which is his Facebook side of things.
Awesome. And so now that, when we played on his strengths too, Ronnie, you had alluded to this earlier in the conversation. We've now brought him into email automation and, email campaigns. So walk me through that process about, did we start building a list for him? Did he have an existing list? And what do those campaigns look like?
So he had little to no email marketing in terms of a flows and automation standpoint. He was sending out regular email campaigns. Now, the biggest hurdle he was facing was that he wasn't aware of. I don't think is he was in the spam. He was in spam for people. And the biggest spam
is that like the friend zone? The spam zone is like the friend zone.
It is worse than the friend zone. Actually, maybe it's equivalent. No, it's worse, because the friend zone you'll get some attention. The spam you don't even exist. And so specifically, he was in the Gmail spam, which everyone on here and everyone listening, I'm sure you have a Gmail account, and it's probably one of your main accounts. And so he had a list of over 100,000 people that were getting his emails. And so the first thing we had to do was create engagement lists through Klaviyo, and then work on getting that open rate and deliverability back up. Sorry, I'm kind of dying over here. Excuse me.
No worries. Everybody's allowed to cough. It's okay.
On the spam side, what we did is we basically removed all the sales content in terms of high promotion wording, as well as the images, and just used text only for a bit until we built the delivery back up and got out of the Gmail spam. And then we were able to deliver messages again. And to give you guys context, we went from, I think it was around a 2 to 5% open rate. It was probably closer to 2% open rate to 15 to 20% when we last checked, which was a few weeks ago, or when I last checked.
That's fantastic.
And the email revenue as well, like we again started at below 5% overall email revenue, and then it went to about 8 to 10%, and then now it's around 15 to 20%.
You touched on something right there that I don't think it would be really easy to gloss it over. And I'd love for you to dive a little bit deeper if you can. When you get a glass, take a drink of water there. we started with text only emails. So if I'm about to send out my next campaign as a business person, should I consider that? Should I consider removing both high sales words like buy now and discount and images? Because are those filters that Google says, whoa, this is probably spam? Or was that just like a swing to see if we could,
So that was only specifically for this case because he was in the spam folder so deep that we had to get him out. So we had to go full swing the other direction. I wouldn't recommend that when you're starting off email marketing because you're probably not in spam. I think to avoid that, because we see this in a lot of email accounts for clients, is they're promoting the entire time. And so you've trained your list to just think of you as a promotion person, and they're going to ignore your emails. And so your open rate's going to drop. If your open rate is less than 10%, 10% is still not that good, but if it's less than 10%, then that's probably what has happened. You trained your list to think that you're only promoting the entire time. And so usually what I recommend is like, you should probably have different types of content, community-based content, whatever your niche is, the culture is, like you should send relevant industry content. If it's skincare, which Rich and Clears is, there's probably like infinite amount of content. And then he's working with influencers. So there's, again, infinite ways you can go down the content rabbit hole. So that's kind of best practice. Build a relationship. Email marketing is just a communication channel with your customers. And in all businesses, it's around people. And so you need to be able to build a relationship with them through content.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I hope this isn't too big of a curveball. I remember as well in the conversation that there was talk of doing SMS campaigns. Has that kicked off, or is that something that we've gone down already, or no?
For SMS, they are still currently doing it. When we, and Stephen, you know this very well, like when we bring on clients, we kind of like to do one thing at a time, because we need to figure out the workflow between each other and establish one win and then build onto it. So we started off with ads, then email, and then we are just still talking about the SMS strategy. Okay, cool.
Kevin, talk to me for a second. We've worked with other companies who've done SMS. Just give me a sense of what's the power of that. Is there more immediacy in the purchase? Is it just a different relationship building channel? Is it just because everybody texts now and that's just what we expect? Or what's the usefulness of SMS?
That's a very hard question for me to answer just because I hate SMS. Not the marketing itself. Like I am a consumer and I get text messages from other brands that I sign up with, and it's kind of annoying because when I'm looking at my phone, I see a text that I don't really get too many. Most of my communication is done through Slack or Facebook Messenger. So when I do get a text, like I think it's important. But when I look at my phone, I see that it's a promo or some.
It's from your mobile phone company. Oh man, exactly, it's just a downer.
Exactly. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, right? Like, it's very similar with email for a lot of people. Like promotional emails, they hate, and it's true. But again, I think it's how you do it that makes it good. The power of SMS is that the reach is crazy. You have like over 95% open rate, right? Kevin sees all these messages that he hates, but he sees them at the end of the day.
Well, it's also, Ronnie, it's the formula of the delivery channel or the design of the delivery channel, right? I mean, my email is, I don't get notifications on email. I turned those off, 10 years ago, right? Whereas even text today, I'm sitting there with my phone, it comes down in the little, notification bar, or it's sitting there in the notification screen. So you're forced to look at it. You see the opens. And if, as a marketer, if you phrase that, put the phraseology correct, or, get your messaging correct, you're going to get a click. And that's, it's a different way to interact.
100%. And it's similar to email where you kind of have to figure out what your audience likes, like frequency, how promotional you can be. There's a brand that I'm subscribed to, and they email they send a text every single week with a new sale. And I've only been on recently, so I'm not sure how effective it is, but if I'm assuming this brand has been around for a long time, I'm like, they're probably printing money with these texts. Another brand, Gravel, shout out to you. They sent me a Kickstarter text And I don't know what channels they're pushing it on aside from this, but I clicked it and it was already 17,000 out of 10,000 to their goal.
Wow.
And so I'm like, wow, this thing works at the end of the day.
Awesome.
And a ton of brands are on SMS because there's a fear with the paid ads thing, with the iOS update and tracking and all that. And so this is just one extra, more secure channel, I think, for sales.
Fantastic. Kevin, wrap us up. What have been the critical wins of working with Earnest, and working with Rich and Clear in general? What lessons have we learned? And where do we go from here?
So I think a win by itself is just having Earnest as a client. He's a very responsive client. He is always doing new things, which I like. He always has some product launches. Every single month we worked with him so far, there has been 2 to 3 new product launches, and he's on top of his promotions too. So when he sees that sales are like a little bit slow, then we always recommend him to run a flash sale or something. And he's so responsive with that he can make a promo go on pretty fast. So that's a win. But one win in the marketing side of things with his account was that we were able to scale his account from $62 a day to about $2,000 a day, and we're just scratching the surface of things. Because when you actually look under the hood of his campaigns, lookalike, interest, and all that, let's talk about lookalike. We're only targeting 1% lookalike. There's 2 to 5% that we haven't even touched yet.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Ronnie, hey, any closing thoughts? Any different thoughts about, people who either have an influencer business that they want to go to paid ads, or, somebody about, who's interested in getting into email marketing? Any words of wisdom you want to end with?
Yeah, I think organic is an amazing way to build a business. You provide proof of concept. You get to really engage with your community, and you get to validate and test and revise what you're offering. And, that's kind of how we started Klout as well. But I also think that when you're ready to get to that next level at a faster rate, ads is just the way to go. It's exponential. I don't even know how to describe it. When you go through it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm sure Ernest is going through it right now. It took him years probably to get to that 100K base. And it took us 2 months to almost double it. And so, ads is extremely powerful if you have everything else in place like Ernest did.
Kevin, Ronnie, thank you again for this words of wisdom and a review of Rich and Clear. We'll see you next time on Impact Marketer.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
Hey there. If you like what you heard in this episode, please do me the favor of giving us a like, because it really does help. And of course, you can always subscribe to Impact Marketer so you never miss an episode. And finally, more importantly, if you'd like to get the type of results that we talk about on this show, drop us a line at kloutconsulting.com and we'd love to help you. Thanks.